In order to facilitate deleting and coloring, I think it might be useful to have a menu on each object. Yeah, or maybe we can work on file upload afterwards. So here's my list of to-dos. Let's see where we are. Let's just give it a little test drive here. So you can go to a space, you can create a new space, my space. This is my space. Here we are. Maybe we should sort by ascending date so that the newest ones are always on top. Let's do that. So the space, let's see, where are we? That would be under the XR web, live, space live, index. So that would give you the list spaces. List spaces just gives me all the space. And so if we want to give it a query, we could say for S in space, order order by, how does this work? Is it the created or inserted at and then ascending or descending? Is that the query? Query equal, and give it the query. All right. Order, is it order by? Okay, I need to check the documentation. Do not know how to do this. So it's ecto query order by. From u in users from, okay, from s in space, where, we don't care, select, yeah, query session, where, where order, fragments, order by, okay, yeah, order by s dot inserted at. And how do you say inserted at descending? Descending, okay. Oh, you can just do from space order by descending inserted at. And then so we do, let's close this one. Refresh this, my space. Huh? What happened here? Okay, no comma. Descending publish at descending. Inserted at. refresh. The MySpace goes up at the top. If we create a new one, that's at the top. And even if I edit some other attribute, so let's say I edit this to have a description, we're still at the top. And if I edit ABC's description, order is maintained. Okay. Now let's say I go into FFFF, enter here, and then I want to create a plane. So I go here, add a grid. Very good. Coming back. And I can add a couple things. So I can add a box. Okay. Oh yeah, I can click on this and it adds a donut. Okay. Closing this doesn't remove the donut. Okay, so yeah, let's polish that up a little bit. So I'd like to just create a texture to hold a bunch of options that we can add later. So in the collaborative text manager, we have a selected mesh. We have a delete gizmo, but I think we should call this a entity, the entity plane, which will be a abstract mesh. We have the gizmo manager, which is the transform thing. We have a utility layer, and we have a Babylon observable for pointer info. Let's call this pointer observable. And then we have a mode, which is either transform to, I think maybe we don't have a mode. Okay, we have then in the constructor, we create the utility layer and we set an overlay light, which, what's happening if you just point it up? And we can call this util light intensity and no mode. And then we're listening for the edit toggle, so it'll turn this either on or off. Okay, and then we can dispose. If we want to dispose, we can dispose of a couple things. Gizmo manager dispose. This util layer dot dispose. Of course, maybe we can have this entity plane dispose. In each of these cases, I think we should check to see if those things are there, right? So if this gizmo manager is present, then we can dispose of it. If this entity plane exists, then we can also dispose of that. Okay, so what does the off do? This off says if there is a pointer observable, then we can remove that. So we're not checking anything. Also, we can just go dispose of these guys, right? Okay, so maybe not utility layer. This is a full cleanup, so we want to be able to do that. Actually, we could just hide them. Yeah, you can create them and hide them. So the gizmo manager you can have on, and then just not have it engaged, because it's only actually loaded when you have this thing up and running. Oh, no, this is created outside of a menu. So this will always create a utility layer, huh? I think you can only have let's see, when we create this gizmo manager in the on here, scene, oh, you can give a utility layer. Oh, okay. Scene thickness, second parameter. So null. But then you can give this utility layer. Keep depth utility layer. Okay, so we can reuse that, so they'll be both be on the same utility layer. So if we're switched on, we can listen for point events. So if you go pointer up, oh, this is listening on the utility layer. Yes. Picked up something in the utility layer. Okay, so let's not dispose of anything just yet. So that shows we're pointing on something in the utility layer. This one just says pay attention to clicks. So this pointer observable becomes this. If you get a pointer up, then, and if you've selected a mesh and it's editable, then set this select mesh. And then forget about double tapping. We're not going to do anything with that. Forget about switching mode. Switch mode, so forget about this. So when you select a mesh, you pass in the mesh, and then this will do. So if you have a selected mesh, and the selected mesh is the same, don't do anything. But otherwise, you'll want to clear actually, I'm not sure you need to clear anything. You can just move the gizmo and unhide the plane. we can do, okay, if selected mesh, da da da. Otherwise, we can say this Gizmo Manager, selected mesh, or attached to mesh, mesh. So on, we need to create this, enable the Gizmo Manager, enable transform Gizmo, and in enable transform Gizmo, we set Gizmo onto the current utility layer, and we're determining what's going to show. So position, rotation, and bounding box. Maybe we don't need rotation. Just that use pointer to attach gizmos, false. So we're going to do our own business to attach the mesh. So then this is all the observables we're doing on it. Are there any others? Gizmo Manager on attached to mesh observable, on attached to node observable, clear Gizmo, observe, position Gizmo, enable attachable nodes. How about gizmos? Bounding box Gizmo, on scale box drag, on scale box drag. On drag start observable, drag start, I don't know. Anyway, we'll come back to this later. So these are the calls, and on attached to mesh observable. Yeah, okay, so we don't need this one because we're setting it already. Okay, so we're enabling that. And then, so if we click it, it should only attach to one mesh. So let's give this a try. So let's enable this. Okay, clicking on this didn't do anything. Oh, we got an error here. Can't read properties of null reading on drag end observable. On drag end observable of what now? Oh, wait. New, and then we set this. Enable transform Gizmo. So we do that there, right? At enable transform Gizmo cannot read properties of null reading on drag. Oh, we disabled the rotation. So this one isn't set. Okay, let's try again. Toggle on, select this, pull it up, and we can still like rotate this, which is pretty good. Refresh. Interesting. Rotations didn't take. Oh, because that's a bounding box rotation, and we didn't take that in, right? Bounding box gizmo on rotation. Try that. Turn this on, select, rotate, rotate. Seems like I got rotation updates. No, actually this was just position. Also position. That's position. That's position. Position. Okay, so if I refresh this, interestingly, it saved the changes, but I didn't see any rotation. Okay, there's some. Select. I don't see any update. Insert into components. Anyway, it seems to be working. New scale. Okay, maybe it's getting the broadcast. New position, new scale. On drag end. Anyway. Alright, let's create another one. So we'll go in here, we'll create a cone. And we're in edit mode. We can grab that. Okay, so clicking between them will just switch. So there's only one highlighted, which is what we want. Scale that. If that persisted, yeah. Edit. Pull this up. I think we'll just do that. Not sure if that. So if I do that, that sends new position. But if I do just click here, I'm not sure it did. So what is there? This gizmo manager, gizmos on drag start, on drag end. I think I could just say drag started. This drag started. Or console.log drag started. Edit is on. No, that doesn't trigger track started. That doesn't either. That does. So rotating that, that does. That does. That does. Even just clicking this does. On rotation, sphere scale. What else? Observe. How about something end? Enable drag behavior. Set on scale, on rotation, on. Yeah, okay. I still don't know what the observable for that is. Anyway. Yeah, we want our menu in there, right? So click on this, click on this. Which one of these are preserved? So when you click off, what happens? Off will disable the transfer gizmo. It should deselect this, so okay, removes the pointer observable, but okay, disable transformation gizmo will get rid of that. Will get rid of the layer, I think. So if we have this on and you're clicking this, if you do that, yeah, okay, so it destroys the gizmo, but I think the utility layer is still there. And so if we create our own menu, so now we want to create a plane. So if we switch it to on, we should say this enable entity menu. Okay, let's create enable entity menu. This entity plane equals Babylon mesh builder create plan, and this can be the entity menu plane. The size can be 4.5, half a meter, and then the scene would be this scene. And for fun, let's just show the entity, show bounding box true. And maybe, okay, so this should just appear at the origin when you switch this to be on. Switch it on, there it is. Now if we switch it off, we should get rid of it. So if we switch it off, we should this disable entity menu. So disable entity menu, we should just do this entity plane dispose, and this entity plane equals null. So then this going on. Oh, okay. The other thing is, I think we can put this in the utility layer. So this utility layer scene, and that would just mean it's drawn on top of everything else. This, switch it up, it's in front, which is great. And we're going to need to put some advanced stuff on it. So we can say public entity advanced texture is so we're going to need to import everything as GUI from GUI. So this is a GUI dot advanced dynamic texture, and then in the enable this thing we'll say this entity advanced texture equals GUI dot advanced texture dot create for mesh, and the mesh is this entity plane. And let's create a div menu. So div, and the name is entity menu, and the children, which can be, how about just text as hello. Thing here. So this returns the control, and this entity advanced texture add control. Let's add, well, let's just call this controls. And so now let's let this be controls. So if I switch this on, I don't see anything. Let's take a look to see scene.debug layer show. Okay, so what do we have here? Right. GUI, no. Okay, so, oh, it's possible I can't render a GUI because the GUI might render on a utility layer as well. No, it's a texture. It's a texture, but textures there, materials. Did you even do this stuff? Enable entity menu. Controls. Import a div from there. Okay, let's just put this in our regular scene, see if it makes a difference. Okay, entity plane, show bounding box true, create advanced event texture. Oh, let's see how we do this in menu manager. So create for mesh and the plane and then some dimensions. 256 seems fine. Let's do that. Let's try to create two things. Oh, I see something there. And so what happens if you put this on the utility layer? Dot util scene layer. It works. It is tiny. Maybe make this 1 meter. Well, it's at the origin. And I feel like this is big enough. Should I make this a little... That means if you highlight something that's very far away, it's going to be a very small thing as well. It's fine, you might need to just get up closer to it. Okay, so we have this mesh. It works on the utility layer, and so when you click on something, we're going to consider only the pointer up event. And if you pick the mesh, then we're going to move the utility layer. So this entity plane parent is going to be the mesh. Event pick mesh. So event pick info picked mesh. That's going to be parent. And this entity plain dot un or hide, show, visible, enable. Disable. Well, let's just move it first. Then we can figure out the show hide. Alright, what's this? Can't read properties undefined reading dispose. Where? Disable the disable entity menu. Okay. Enable entity is here. So if this entity plain, don't do that. Go in here. Boop. Good to. Why aren't we moving this thing? So in the on, we enable entity menu. In enable entity menu, we say this entity plane. We've got this thing. And then when we pick an object, if there's a picked mesh, then oh, this is the utility layer, sorry. No, not in here. Here. This select mesh. So in select mesh, and you basically want to move this thing over, which is mesh. Still not moving it? Why aren't you moving it? So console.log selecting mesh, mesh.name. Right, oh, there it is. Okay, so it's parenting, but we want it to always face us. Babylon just make plain face camera. Billboard mode. That's billboard mode all. What's billboard mode Y? to know. So maybe we want this. Okay, where's that mesh? So we'll create the mesh. So on enable entity menu, we'll just say that the plane is entity plane dot billboard mode is doing that. So facing the camera, over here, over here. Up, even if we squeeze it, and even if we rotate this, oh, squeezing, yeah. I see. Parenting this may not be what we want to do. But it's a good thing that rotating it doesn't do anything, so we don't want to be subject to the scaling, so we don't actually want to parent it. So we want to move it. We want to copy the coordinates, not parent. So let's see. Where are we setting the parent? Okay, so when you select a mesh, parent plane position, copy from mesh.position. Select this, get that, and then if we turn, or even if we do this, or even if we move, it doesn't go with it. But after that, we can copy those coordinates in again after you move it, right? To pick something on the utility layer. Pick something on the utility layer. So this seems tiny. I think it needs to be this position, but maybe way closer to the camera. So it's like you need to transform it slightly toward our forward position. Which there's a good way of doing that here. I think it's here, vec to local. So you get a mesh and you pass it a vector local to the mesh, for example, in front of it, like Z. And then, so you could do that for the camera. You could say, I want 001, which is 1 meter in front of me, and get my So you get the forward vector. I want to console log this out. Console log forward. So anyway, I think what this gives you is a vector and a direction. So this might be useful. So it's already in front of the object, but we want to maybe figure out relative to the camera what that might be. So if we select the mesh and we have the position here, let me see, let's do set menu position given the camera position. This scene active camera dot get forward ray. Forward. I think this is what this gives you, a forward ray. If you do get forward ray, what does this give you? A bevel on ray. Origin, camera position, length, transform. I don't know what to do here. The menu is so small because it's not flat, it's in 3D. So it's like I want to take it and I want to bring it closer. So wherever that object is, I want to bring it closer to the camera. So first we'll copy the position and then get the distance between that thing and the camera, and move it. So if you have the mesh, we'll say that this entity plane and copy position, copy from mesh position. That's that. So when you select the mesh, we'll do this set menu position from the mesh. And then in here, if you subtract two positions, you get a vector, right? So Babylon vector 3 dot what? Distance forward. Okay, I have a position. I want to move it closer to the camera up to a certain percent. So we can calculate the vector by taking that position, subtracting the current camera position, and you'll get a new vector. And you want to direction forward, subtract origin, and then normalize it. Okay, so maybe it's like this. You take mesh position, subtract. What does this do? Subtract this active camera dot position, this scene, active camera. This is abstract Babylon abstract mesh. Returns a new vector. Result of the subtraction of a given vector from current vector. So this is a direction. And then direction equals Avalon vector 3 normalize direction, which makes it a unit, and I'll copy that one too. Let's see, copy from direction, and what does that do? What if you did this first? Copy from the mesh position, and then you got a direction from that mesh position to the camera position. And how would you, can you scale? Direction dot scale to reference multiplies recorded by the flow. Okay, scale in place. Scale in place by 0.5, and then what happens if you add it now? Position, add in place direction. So I have no idea what this is going to do. I feel like that's even further. So what about if it's subtract in place? Okay, yeah. Did something. And what if you didn't scale it? Yeah, it's right on us. So it takes that position, subtracts the active camera position. That's a vector. And then you take that position and then you subtract it, which brings it all the way up into your face. And you want it, the position, to be like maybe looking 1 meter away. So the question is, how do you get distance along a vector? How to calculate coordinate that is set distance along vector. So vector is this xy minus that xy, normalize this to this. Actually, the normalize works pretty well. I want it to be 1 meter away from our face. So if you have this direction and then you actually do the unit direction, so this thing, you get the unit, which is 1 meter long, along that vector. Then you need to actually push it away from your face. So entity plane position is add, no, sorry, copy from direction equals the normal direction, and then add take this this gives you the direction. This makes it unit. Now you want to add it to your camera. So the destination equals this camera, this scene active camera position, add or Babylon vector 3 add add direction. So if we add, I think we get a point behind us. Destination, and then entity plane position, copy from destination. Okay, so I think this will actually put it behind us. No, it's actually where I want it. That is pretty good. it is way bigger than I thought it would be. So you can make this a little bit smaller. You multiply that by 5. Normalize, and then scale place by 3 meters. One, two, three. 3 meters. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. Still a bit small then. Just do scale in place 2. Now I want it a little bit to the upper right. So I think I would have to cast. Okay, so if this is the position, we want to cast from the origin to that position. But a little bit higher. So you could just say whatever position was the center, we just go higher, which is up on the Y. So I think we can only do it in the Y direction because I don't know which way to go precisely for Y and Z, unless we do this sort of world matrix thing. We've got to add to it in a plane that's offset to me. How do we go to the right? We would have to cast a ray. Ray cast from the origin in front of you. You can go straight in front of you. We don't want to go straight in front of me though. Let's take a break.